Howdy, and welcome to the Earthborne Games podcast. I am your host, Anders Carlson, as usual. I'm joined by three guys from the Earthborne Rangers team over at Earthborne Games. We've got Andrew Fischer. How are you doing?
Hello. I'm doing good. You know, you asked us, we talk for like 20 minutes before this episode starts, and Anders asked us, He was like, come up with something natural to say, once we actually start. Because, once we start, it's like feels contrived. Yeah. I didn't think of anything. I'm doing the self-aware bit. And explaining it to everybody, and then to reveal that I did not think of anything other than this to say.
That's a smart cop out. That's good.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. It sounds like something I would do.
Anders observed that we banter just amongst ourselves before the episode starts, and we're really just wasting quality content as we just talk about random stuff before the show begins. We really just need to hit record right when we pick up the line.
Oh, it's so true. I know. And in the past, I've kind of said, I've tried to bring it back to some gold that we were talking about. Like, oh, you were telling me about your doggy, right? And then it just doesn't have the same flavor.
No, because then you're trying to recall the things you were saying off the cuff, and it comes off worse. It's always difficult to recite it, I find, at least.
So stay tuned next show. We're going to have some really authentic banter. I'm just going to hit record the moment these guys enter the chat room. Evan, what did you think up?
I was actually just going to do what Fischer did, but he did it already. So I got nothing. No. So I'm a bachelor tonight and tomorrow. Megan is out of town with the baby. And I was thinking about getting wild and leaving the door open so the cats possibly could come in during the podcast, but I was kind of worried that it might cause trouble. And then I realized I'm actually wearing basketball shorts, so if I had to get up to do something, it would look really weird for all the people watching.
Are they those huge shiny shorts?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of they're
because they don't shorts. At all. That doesn't sound like it goes with what you have.
No, it doesn't. Top. So that's why I thought better of keeping the door shut, because I didn't want to have to expose any sort of outfit weirdness,
break the polished veneer of our weirdness. Super professional podcast. Yeah,
just go do it, please.
No,
now everybody wants to see your outfit.
Yeah,
weirdness.
Now we want to see release the basketball shorts cut, Evan.
Maybe next time.
Andrew Navarro, what have you got on for leg wear?
I'm wearing shorts, just normal shorts.
Normal?
They're not
normal
basketball
material?
Shorts. Yeah, though I do have basketball shorts that I wear when I go to the gym and exercise. They are somewhat shiny also.
Not when you just are home like I do.
They're too... So Fischer introduced me to this term that his wife says about comfortable pants, like pajama pants, calling them quitters.
Oh yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Which was an awesome term.
Yeah, she's like, when I get home from work, I want to put on quitters.
Yeah, you quit working for the day.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So having too comfortable of pants, be those pajama pants or those basketball shorts, which are almost just like wearing nothing, a little too comfortable for work. So I stick with just your basic cotton, somewhat khaki-ish. These are old shorts that I'm wearing.
Yeah, I'm of the policy that if you work in your sweatpants or your pajamas, then you have when it comes time to relax after work, you have nowhere to go, right? You're already I like to change out of my work clothes into the pajamas and be relaxed. But if I'm already in the pajamas, I can't get more comfy, I guess, without just getting nude, just sitting around nude.
So you
which is oftentimes less comfortable.
Yeah. I don't know if I would actually enjoy that. So anyway, I save the quitters for quitting time. I agree with Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I went to a elementary school where I had to wear a uniform. So I've done this for years, where the second I get home from work or school or whatever, I'm just in a new outfit, because corduroy pants is what I had to wear. It sucked. I hate those.
They required corduroy pants in particular.
Yeah, navy blue corduroy pants and light blue collared shirts.
Sounds hot.
I love that they specified the material too of the pants.
Yeah.
Got to be
And,
corduroy.
Playground gravel would always get stuck in the grooves of the corduroy. And it's just messy. So
That's incredible. Damn. They didn't think about those grooves
No.
when they made that policy.
they didn't think about the children is what
No.
they didn't do.
Because I feel like corduroy pants were like the nerdy pants to wear when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So they just made everyone a nerd.
Yeah, but there's kind of a beauty in that. Well, I
nobody's
would
a
have
nerd.
hated having school uniforms. I would have liked not having to worry about clothes, right? Like, just
Same.
like not even having to worry about like, getting judged by their kids. We're all stuck in the same awful clothes together, right?
That's
Yeah.
true.
It-
Yeah.
It's
It would have been a
great.
little unifying, I think.
Yeah, you could wear your blazer inside out like Will Smith.
Oh, is that what he did?
Yeah.
Look what that got
Rebel.
him. Yeah. Yeah, I worked at a school where kids wore uniforms, and they would all, sauce it up in their own way.
Personalize it.
It didn't really look like there even was a uniform after all was said and done.
Mhm.
Anyway, we've got a good show, as per usual. Andrew Fisher's got a presentation he's going to give to us. I think it's like a whole PowerPoint.
All right, now you're making it sound like a whole thing.
Well, judging by the document, you got bullet points here.
I like bullet points on anything I'm gonna talk about. It'll be fine.
It's a presentation. Bullet points make a presentation. And we're going to do all the normal stuff, including listener questions. And that brings us to listener questions. Our first listener question. I knew I wasn't in good shape for tonight when I was trying to type in the web address for the app that we use to record this. I could not think of the name of this application, which is called Riverside. It took me a good 30 seconds. So I was like, great. Word recall is in rare form. Anyway, our first question comes from Rands from Discord. And it says, hey, EBG team. Just got caught up with the latest podcast and heard Andrew Navarro mention plastic stickers to seal the boxes. Apparently that would be the only plastic in the whole product, which I guess is fine. But has an option like this been explored? And Rands included a picture of the latest, I believe it's the latest, Lord of the Rings book collection. And there is a little round sticker on the box that says no plastic wrap. And he continues, it seems like a paper sticker. It could be coated, but might be better than a pure transparent plastic if that's the way you were leaning. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it. And I appreciate Rand's writing in the Discord. Rand's he's a podcast host. Yeah, I was on his podcast a couple months ago. He does I think his YouTube channel's CCG History, I think is the name of his channel. And he has a lot of pretty cool interviews on there with various people throughout the years. But anyway,
Nice.
yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know what the material of the sticker is. I think I was just assuming it was like just a pure, like clear plastic sticker based on the things that I've seen in stores, because that's usually the standard. But it's entirely possible that it could be a paper sticker like this. I don't really know if this is any less wasteful. This coated sticker. It definitely doesn't look great because it kind of gets all worn and
Right.
destroyed because the ink gets kind of rubbed off being on the corner there.
And you wouldn't be able to recycle something like that.
No,
Probably,
you wouldn't
right?
be able to recycle that sticker. It's going in the garbage either way.
Yeah.
And as he mentions, it is probably coated in plastic. So, but
Sometimes
yeah,
when I'm-
I'll find out what that material ultimately is. We got the final quote today, by the way, from the factory.
Nice.
Ooh.
I
Yeah,
thought they said Monday.
they did say Monday. They tried to email it over on Monday, but it didn't come through. So I poked, and then they said, "Oh yeah, sorry, I'll try."
I've
to
used
resend
that one before too.
Oops, it didn't go through for some reason. It got clogged in the internet pipes. So yeah. So anyway, I'll find out what that is. I'm assuming it's going to be a clear plastic sticker, but they might have other options. I'll definitely check it out. So thank you, Rance, for the suggestion.
Is this a thing? Like, I've wondered when I'm throwing things into the garbage, like, okay, this can't be recycled, but at least it's not plastic in the landfill. Does that actually make a difference?
No,
like this is kind of papery. It doesn't matter.
It's interred. It's interred for all time in a sealed vessel. That's what a landfill is. It's like it's this thing that is supposed to protect the environment from garbage forever, which obviously eventually that landfill will collapse.
Yeah.
Just, it'll just happen, or like there'll be a shift in the earth and it'll break and the stuff will leak out. But the whole thing is about trying to keep it as dry as possible. So they like, I watched the whole thing on landfills. It was pretty fascinating.
Okay.
It's a pretty interesting like engineering feat to try to create these giant structures underground that are just filled with garbage. Like you're preserved like a pharaoh. Everything you put in the trash.
So it doesn't degrade in there?
Nope. That's the whole point.
Come?
Is that because they try to keep it dry. Like any goo in there that comes out, they try to siphon out. And get
How do they get it dry? Because sometimes when I take the garbage out, it's sopping wet.
Yeah. Well,
so how do they dry
there's
that shit out?
I forget what the fluid that is created inside of there's a name for the fluid that's created inside of a landfill that then it's like siphoned out.
Oh wow.
Slurry.
Yeah, I don't think it's a slurry.
When I think of a landfill, I always just think of like a pile of garbage out in,
That's a dump.
A dump.
Oh.
Okay.
That's a garbage dump, which is not sealed, and that will degrade over time.
Okay, so
there's a
then my
difference.
line of thinking actually is okay when it comes to a dump, maybe. At least
Yeah,
like a
maybe.
piece
But
of
it's
plastic
also
isn't
sealed inside of
floating
a plastic. It's probably also sealed inside of a plastic garbage bag.
Right, but at least there's not another piece of plastic in there.
Right.
It's
all
it's
bad.
I win.
It's one of the reasons that using like composting programs or you're doing your own composting is so valuable, because that banana peel, if it goes to the landfill, is going to be mummified and entombed for all time. And actually the stuff they use to protect us from the landfill is actually preserving everything in the landfill. So that banana peel that would degrade very quickly doesn't, because it's almost mummified there. So if it's instead composted, it enters back into the cycle a lot faster.
Yeah,
Right.
and having organic stuff in the trash also makes it more difficult for that stuff to stay dry, right? Because it will decompose over time.
Thank you.
I
never knew this. I never knew that's what a
there you go.
landfill was. It's
Yeah.
a dry tank underground. Basically.
Yeah, it's wild. Man, I wish I could remember the documentary I watched on it, but it was fascinating. Or maybe it was a Stuff You Should Know podcast. It might have been that.
Anders, people like you and I, we never knew about this because of Big Dump. They didn't want us to know.
I've been to dumps before. I worked landscaping one year when I was very young, and got to go to the dump part of town, which is like not here, but in Columbus, Ohio. It's a part of town I've never been to, but it's just like the part of town where there are just giant heaps of garbage and incinerators. It's like an apocalyptic wasteland, just kind of like southwest of the city.
I was imagining those.
You don't know is there.
I was imagining those like corrugated sheet metal fences, and then like a mean guard dog inside.
It's not like a junkyard with like scraps.
Oh, that's a
and stuff.
junkyard. Oh man, there's a dump, a junkyard.
Yeah, junkyard. You can go and you can get stuff from the junkyard and then reuse it.
Yeah,
that's kind of the awesome part of the junkyard is it's actual junk that you can like repurpose.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where they do like they cube up the steel and all that.
Mm-hmm. I brought a car there one time. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, there's no shortage of human created waste to make money off of.
Right.
So it's almost like a yard waste site where you, instead of taking compost away from yard waste, you're taking pieces of junk that you might repurpose into like sculptures or something.
Well, I remember when I was young, my parents, I think they bought like a car door from there to replace like one of their car doors.
I actually did that on my last car. The I bought it used and the driver's seat was broken, so I got a great deal on it. And then I just went to like one of those reclamation yards and you just call them up. You ask them if they have that year of car, and you just show up with like all the tools, and you can just remove anything you want from that year of car they have sitting out there. And so I just stole the driver's seat and put it in mine, and like new. It was great.
That's awesome. That's fun. I like that kind of stuff a lot.
It was the wrong color, but whatever.
Yeah, so was ours. Yeah, it was great though. It's a really good look.
Big dump. That was a good one. Evan. All right, this one comes from Gabriel on Kickstarter. They ask, "Hi, will it be possible to try a demo of the game in the Essenspiel Game Fair? I'm asking because Frosted Games appears to be demoing the game, but I guess it will only be in German. Will it be possible to try the game in English?"
Oh, that's a good question. I think it's only going to be in German, but I don't know that for sure. Maybe Ben can comment if he listens. But he's probably sick of us by this point because we're spending so much time together online. But yeah, I assume it's all going to be in German, unfortunately. But
it will also be playable at Lucca the next month, right?
And that will be in Italian.
In Italian, yep.
Though I'll be playing. So I don't know if I've mentioned that I'll be in Lucca. I don't know if I mentioned that on the podcast, but I'll be there. So that's very exciting.
Is that in Italy?
To be in Italy, yeah.
Wow.
We've been meaning to go to Italy for the last 3 years, so it's pretty exciting to finally be going. Mm-hmm. But I'll also be able to write off a portion of the trip because I'll be working at the convention. So I'll be playing the game there with people. So maybe we'll have it in English.
I was going to say, at the very least,
I'm just going to have to fudge it.
At the very least, you could bring our English copy of the game with you.
I feel like I'm going to have if it's only in Italian, I'll have to have the English version of the game, like at least on an iPad or something that I can reference so that I can answer rules questions.
Oh yeah. Bring up the English cards.
Yeah. Otherwise, I have pretty good familiarity with the game. So I think it'll be in German only, but we're working on the new tabletop simulator demo, and that will be in English, and that will be available shortly after Essen.
Awesome.
Yep. That won't be the entire game, but it will give you a slice of it, a sample of it to check out. Great.
Yeah, that's cool. What around when is that? What date would that be available?
I don't think we're settling on a date yet because it kind of coincides with us getting everything ready to go to the printer.
Okay.
So we want to make sure we have all the printer files done first before we push anything to Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah. I want all the print files finalized, then post it, make the actual TTS demo. Though I've been learning some new cool TTS features that I think are going to help make the demo more slick. For whatever final digital implementation we do of the game, we'll probably hire somebody. But for the demo, it'll probably mostly just be me putting it together. So I've been learning some new tips and tricks to hopefully make the quality of life a little bit better in that demo environment.
That's awesome.
Cool.
So all right, our next two questions are similar, so I'm going to bust through them both, and then you guys can answer. First part is from Daniel Keim from YouTube, and he says, hearing y'all talk about Shapers makes me incredibly excited to try the different character types in this game. Marvel Champions is my favorite game, and probably my favorite aspect of that game is trying each new hero and seeing how they tick. What are your favorite Ranger decks you've played, and which ones are you excited to try? And then the second question is from Darren. On the most recent episode of the podcast, Andrew showed off a manifestation card and a conduit card, and those previewed a little bit about what makes the Shaper role unique. I have a feel now for the sort of card management that role is doing. This just makes me want to know about the other three roles. What are the role card interactions that make the four roles play differently from one another? So what are your favorite Ranger decks that you've played? What are you excited to try? And that one.
Why don't you start us off, Andrew?
Oh, sure.
They're going to say me. Okay.
So one thing I'll note is that he says is there's only 4 roles, but there are 8 roles in the game. So that's worth noting. So yeah, well, yeah, I think he might be conflating roles with specialties. So each specialty has 2 roles that come in the core set, and we'll be adding more roles to those specialties as time goes on. But
yeah, and so the role cards are these individual cards that kind of show that kind of give you a repeatable special ability that you always have access to, and then there are 2 roles in the core set for each specialty, and the specialty is a whole set of cards that you can kind of build your deck using. So you might play a shaper with one of either role, and the role you take with your shaper might kind of change the cards you build from. In addition to drawing from that card set, your specialty card set, you'll get a card set, access to a card set called your background that represents what you did before the Rangers. And then you'll get to spice up your deck a little bit with some other personality cards, as well as one thing we call the outside interest, which is a card from any of the other backgrounds or specialties that you can just kind of choose and add to your deck. So there's a bunch of different things that factor into your character, but I think these questions, since we were talking about the shaper, I think mostly focused around the specialties, and so we can kind of talk about those and maybe which backgrounds we like to pair with them.
Yeah, I think I'm going to show my favorite role, because why not?
Yeah, show stuff.
And I can talk about it. Okay, let's see here. Share window. Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So my favorite role to play has been the Voice of the Elders, which is a conciliator role, which has the ability to spend 1 energy to add 1 token to an aid card. There are lots of different aid cards throughout all of the sets, but in the conciliator set, there are several aid cards. So, and those obviously become more powerful the more tokens you have on them. So, I guess each role is kind of doing a slightly different thing for each specialty. This one's nice and simple, so it kind of, I think I've said multiple times that I'm not the best deck builder in the world. So I like things like this, where when you have a reusable ability that focuses on aid cards, well, then obviously I need to put aid cards in my deck and then look for more aid cards to add to my deck. So there's a lot of decision making that's just kind of made for me, so I don't have to do a lot of thinking. So yeah, I really enjoy playing Conciliator quite a bit. And also playing a high. So I feel like there's lots of nuances here that really inform the deck that I like to play. So I like to play Conciliator, Voice of the Elders with high Spirit. So Spirit 3, and I think I had Focus 1, and that's the deck I spent the most time with. That's the deck I played almost in almost all of my solo play sessions. When I was doing my playthrough of the campaign, I was playing with this role and with those aspects. And then that your high aspect then also informs the cards you can add to your deck from your specialty set, because there are aspect requirements on the cards you can add. So if you have a 3 in one of your aspects, of your spirit or your fitness or awareness or focus, then you can add the card that has that requirement to your deck. So choosing the high aspect that you want has a really big impact on your deck building, and how you play the game. So those are the 2 things that I like the most. I really like connecting with things. I think I've mentioned multiple times I was trying to play almost entirely passively, so I was trying to not harm any animal ever. Even
with
bugs.
an asterisk.
I was trying. Ultimately, I ended up getting a reward card that did that work for me, so I kind of
can it be done?
Justified it. It can be done. It can be done. It's just really, really hard, especially when you're in some of the later areas when there are these big kind of monstrous creatures that aren't really interested in connecting with you. They're more interested in eating you. So you have to really push through to try to connect with them. But I do still think it's possible, even though I think I kind of gave up at the very end. But I got through, maybe like 23 sessions without killing anything. So
wow.
Yeah. But then
asterisk.
I got murdered.
There's an asterisk.
Well,
you let quiet.
I did. So maybe I got through 15 without killing anything, but I never swung a sword.
How did you kill the?
Well, I don't want to spoil anything.
Okay.
There's a reward card you can get.
I should. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Andrew might have let nature take its course.
Yes.
A lot.
Yes. Right. Yeah. You can't stop an animal from doing what an animal does. As a cat owner, I know this. So that's my favorite. I think, like, to really get into all the reasons why it's my favorite, I think I'd have to go through a lot of cards and kind of discuss what's fun about them. But really, it's this role and having high spirit and working with these aid cards. It really focuses on board management and being management. So I was able to. There are some roles and some cards that are really focused on exhausting cards and like turning them sideways so that they don't impact you. This role and the aid cards I was using were more about eliminating the presence of the cards in play, and the presence is the value on the path cards that you key off of for suffering fatigue, and there's other things that it does. But being able to reduce the presence of things in play really helps you do connect tests a lot easier. It helps you do tests through them without suffering fatigue. It was a really, really fun thing to do, and I spent a lot of time doing that. So it's managing this role, and this specialty is about managing the beings in play, which are a big component of the game.
Well, I think my favorite role might act as a nice counterpoint to this. Do you mind on your screen bringing up Undaunted Seeker?
I do not. I will scroll to it.
Well, once again, Fischer stole what I was going to say, but I haven't played as many games, so you can elaborate more on this character.
Oh, is this character your favorite?
No, this is the one I play tested with the most, so I enjoyed it. But anyways, I just
why don't you
chime
in?
I apologize for stealing your thunder.
No, it's okay. I was just saying it because it was funny.
So Undaunted Seeker is a role in the Explorer specialty. She has the power to exhaust, and then when you perform a test, dodge one path or dodge one card. And so dodge is a action word that lets you. Andrew was talking about beings kind of getting in your way, causing you fatigue based on their presence. Dodge lets you, just for that one test, ignore. Well, in this case, one card. Whenever you dodge a card, you just don't suffer the fatigue from their presence. It's just kind of a temporary measure. And so my kind of favorite deck that I've built is built around the Undaunted Seeker and focuses on kind of two things. One, dodging, and then two, pulling off stupid traverse tricks, which traversing is kind of the kind of colloquial term for putting progress on features and locations, which kind of represents you overcoming them or traveling to a new location. It's kind of our way of representing you hiking through the valley. And so my Explorer deck has tricks to do one test that just like just traverses a ton, just adds a ton of progress, and like, you know, we're going to travel this turn. And so it pairs that with, while Andrew's conciliator might be controlling the board and keeping everything nicely under control, I don't really worry about that. I just let things get out of hand, and then I trust that I can dodge the things I need to dodge to pull off my one big trick and travel away. And so I'm also fairly pacifist. I don't run too many weapons myself, at least in this deck. Obviously, I ran some for playtesting, but this being my favorite deck does not engage with violence that much. But I engage in non-violence in a different way of just running away. And it works pretty well. The one kind of challenge with this deck, I don't think it would play solo very well because it really needs, sometimes you just run into things you can't run away from that you have to actually deal with in some way. And this character struggled a bit with dealing with those things face to face. I usually ran it the character with 3 fitness, which is the traverse stat. Surprise, I was doing traversing tricks, so I was running that. And so sometimes when I really needed to connect with somebody or really needed to deal with one of those big monsters Andrew's talking about later in the game, this character really needed to be, at least in a 2-player game, with somebody else more equipped to handle that kind of situation.
Awesome.
Cool. And I've seen this deck in action. I saw that deck in action too. And it is pretty awesome. Like, it is a traversing machine.
Yeah. And it shores up some of its weaknesses, I think, as you play and get rewards. The rewards can kind of help kind of fill in the weaknesses in your starting deck and as you grow. And so it gets more powerful as it goes along, I think. But it does help having somebody more stable to pair it with, I think.
That's cool. Hearing about how different you can play the game gets me excited. I'm so excited to touch.
Did you want to pick a different one, Evan, since since Fischer took that one?
Well, I mean, can I share one that hasn't really been seen before?
Of course.
Yeah.
I don't think you've seen either of those before.
Oh. Okay. Well, I really like, so I like the Explorers for reasons like I like high agility D&D characters. I just like jumping around and sneaking around, and that's kind of what I think of when I think about the Seeker and the Peerless Pathfinder. But I think I'll just talk about my favorite character. Sorry, it's taking me a minute because I'm trying to find it. My favorite character is the Masterful Engineer, which is an artificer role.
Nice.
And
want me to share that?
Yeah, actually, if you wouldn't mind, I was waiting for Photoshop to open, but it's taking forever. So if you want to share it,
Yeah, so the Masterful Engineer is a role for the Artificer that can exhaust to allow you to ready a tech. And a tech is a special type of gear card. Not all the gear you can equip is technological, but you know, thematically, tech represents things that like are high tech using energy or other technological advancements. And mechanically, tech usually is things that can kind of pair with these artificer synergies. So this person can ready them to use them a second time in the same round.
Yeah, and the reason I like it is for the same reason I liked playing Iron Man and Champions. I liked getting pieces of equipment out and stuff like that, getting them going. And I think you mentioned it as being like an engine. You're running like an engine as a way to describe the gameplay. But the other reason is I really enjoyed making this piece of art, and it was based off of a rough sketch that Joe did. So it was one of those instances where the art came together from multiple angles, and it resulted in something that is like my favorite piece for all the Ranger pieces. So
nice.
Yeah, I love all the different stuff you can see on like you can see them like holding a boundary sensor, right?
And I always imagined that the thing on his back was a prototype static sifter or something, you know, that he takes out in the field when he travels and fine tunes and tinkers with and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah,
I
I
notice
love.
you have like an artist name on the bottom now. Is that a new addition, or is it just on
Oops.
these cards?
Oops.
It's you probably haven't seen the artist credits because it just hadn't been added yet.
I see.
As part of our process of developing these cards.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's always been there. It's just been a blank field mostly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until
Is that common practice in these kind of card games?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
To put the artist name on it?
Yeah, usually just because there's so much art, you want to make sure that people are credited for the cards they did.
Yeah. That's cool. All right. And then that brings us to the presentation. That was
the moment
inspired.
you've all been waiting for.
Moment only
Fischer's
Peter Crichton has been waiting for. I guess somebody on Discord also said they were excited about Notion. So
Nice.
I have two people excited to hear about Notion.
Oh, it's been the talk of the town. Everyone's talking about Fischer's organization system. Peter Crichton says, "I can't wait for the presentation of Fischer's organization system." Take it away, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Well, okay. So last podcast, we were talking, and Andrew brought up that I have a slightly robust way of keeping track of my own personal organization and to-dos. And this is something that's kind of been a work in progress for years. That's kind of grown over time. And I've spent a decent amount of time thinking about, so I enjoy talking about. So I will share it, at least in brief, with all of you. If you have more specific questions, feel free to ping me, either in the YouTube comments or on Discord. I'm happy to talk more about it. The kind of one caveat I'll say, if you're kind of looking to this for inspiration on your own organizational systems, is that I've helped quite a few people over my years of management and stuff set up their own kind of personal to-dos. And it almost never works to just take somebody else's system and try to implement it in your life. Like the best thing to do is kind of to look at other people's organization systems and figure out which parts speak to you and you think will actually fit with your life, and then take those and then mash them together to find something that works for you. Because if you just try to take somebody else's system and jam it into your life, it might, you might feel great about it for the first week, but you're eventually going to stop using it. So
Right.
this system has kind of been my own journey of taking inspiration from other people. So for, I guess, to start off, I'm actually an incredibly lazy and disorganized person.
When?
Like
just
when I
deep
was
down
younger.
and you're like repressing
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
Yeah, like
constant
innately, right?
Yeah.
I'm incredibly forgetful. My natural state is not to just be doing things, but like I want to do things and I want to like keep organized. So like it's like there's like what's in my gut and then what's in my like higher level consciousness, right?
Okay.
And so my higher level consciousness has to create systems to combat my gut. And so, for a long time I used like just a notepad, and then like the amount of stuff I was doing just overwhelmed the notepad. And I ended up getting inspired by bullet journaling systems. A lot of people will make these really beautiful bullet journals. Mine was not beautiful. It was just very functional. The features of the bullet journal are that you basically kind of have these tiers of information. So at the start, you list out all the months. You have one journal for the year, and you list out all the months, and you put any high level goals you want to accomplish each month. And then you have those months in the front of the book, and you can add new goals as they come up to the month that you think you'll be addressing them. And then as you get to each month in the book, like as time goes on, you get to the start of each month, you take all of the to-dos that you've listed in that month in the beginning of the planner, you put them in this big to-do list. You take any to-dos that are rolling over from last month, you put them in, and this gets you a big list of everything you need to accomplish this month. And then naturally, every day as you're going through your life, more things add, and you have this big backlog of stuff for the month. And then you kind of subdivide. Some people subdivide by weeks, some people subdivide by days. But as you kind of look at this, you go back, you kind of set aside a planning time, either at the beginning of the week or the beginning of the day, and you look at that backlog and decide which tasks are urgent or priority enough to go into this block of time. You block them in. And then the beauty is you don't have to turn to that backlog until your next planning session. You're just looking at this little bit of time. And then things you don't accomplish, you just migrate back to the backlog to then re-enter into the planning cycle. So this worked for a long time for me. And I actually just carried around a little notebook with me working in the office. But at a certain point, especially with working from home and like meeting people in coffee shops and running around town, the notebook got impractical. So I moved all of this to a platform called Notion that I can access from my phone or my computer or anywhere, so I can always look at my to-do list. And so for people on YouTube, I can share a little bit of this. I think I sanitized it all. As I go through, Andrew, let me know if you see any horrible spoilers I forgot to redact.
They'll just be spoilers then.
Is this a free platform?
Yeah, so Notion is really cool. What Notion is it's it's free. There's some premium features, but I don't use them. It kind of started out as I think the original pitch was a build your own app program, but it's effectively like a way to build your own website. I'll share it, and then let's see, share screen 2. Can you all see Notion here?
Yes.
Yeah, my big intimidating thing. So Notion is cool because you can, when you log in, you just get all your own little personal pages, and you can just create new pages, and then each page starts out blank, and you can add new stuff to it. I think like I'll go to our Sam and I's recipe list here. Is a much simpler one. So you can just like add writing or headers or format things in all, like you just at any given point you can just hit a plus and add a new line to your website, and then like format that in whatever way. So you can create just a document, or you can create these things called databases, and they're basically a spreadsheet. You can see here all of our recipes here. And then you can add new columns and add new data. But then the beauty of Notion is that each entry in a larger database that you create is also a page in itself. So, I made the balsamic pork chops here, and it has its own page, and I can actually just open this page, and then I created this in Notion, and then you can create new databases inside. And you create like templates so that all the pages that you create inside of a given database follow this template. And so it's, you might have seen systems like this before, but one of the cool things about Notion is that it's all customizable. So you're not like set with whatever other people have set up for you. You kind of decide the databases you want to create. Like I created this whole layout for recipes and created this template. And then Sam and I, as we find recipes that we like, we add them to our Notion page so that we have kind of our own recipe book here that we can kind of reference and decide what we want.
And Fischer, this does not seem like something a lazy person would do.
No, but like I said, I want to be organized. Like I want to. If I didn't have this, I would forget everything I needed to do. I would constantly be dropping the ball. And so I just created this to stop dropping the ball, Yeah.
Do you have your instructions for how you paint your Tyranid bases in here? Is that what that great idea?
No, I don't think I have the full instructions. I think this subtask is just blank.
Okay.
Oh no, I do have all the substats.
There you go. Yeah. Man, that's what that was one of my the things that drove me nuts about painting. Is I go back to paint an army and it's been a while. All right, what did I do? Yeah.
That was a huge problem for me too, and it would inhibit my excitement about getting back into it because I can't remember the color scheme or whatever.
Yeah, or what part especially for custom mixed colors, I'd forget what the parts were or what the precise green I used or the gray or whatever.
Yeah, and then you go back to it and your mini doesn't quite look like it matches. It's not quite the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, as you guys, as people who are watching on YouTube can observe, for those of you just listening on Spotify, a good amount of my backlog is Warhammer painting. I need to do. I track it in here, but I've been so bad about it that it's just stacking up. So anyway, so this page here is my implementation of that bullet journal I talked about in Notion. So what I did is I created a database that is my master task list of everything I need to do. For those of you watching, you can see it on the left-hand side. And then one of the other beautiful things you can do in Notion is you can actually create what are called filters of a database. So I have this master task list database. And then over on the right here, I have a different view of it. It's the same task backlog, but instead this view sorts the information in a different way. It sorts it based on its assigned. Each of these individual items has an assigned date field. And so you can create different views that sort by the different properties of these. And so over here, I've created this calendar that sorts by what date they've been assigned to. And Notion's pretty intuitive, where at the start of each week, I can go in and look at this whole backlog and see, okay, I need to handle these card exports this week. And so you can see my whole week here is kind of planned out with what I need to do. All these tasks are on this calendar here. I can actually just say, oh, I want to do the card exports on Thursday. I can click and drag this item and just plop it into that calendar. And Notion figures it out and changes that data. So now that card export has the correct assigned date. And I have this thing on the left filtered so that it disappears from here, so that it's either in the backlog or it's assigned to a day. And so at the start of each week, I go through and I take each of these items that I need to do and drag them to their respective days. I'm going to drag this out because I don't actually want it. I drag them to each of their respective days across the week to kind of plan out my week. And then I have my week planned. And so this is all really intimidating. For people who can't see it, who are just listening, this is a nightmare because I have every task I need to complete on the left-hand side of the screen, and then all the tasks I've done this month in a giant calendar on the right. It looks really scary and would just be super intimidating to look at every day. So one of the beauties of this system is I've created this other special page called Today. And so if I click on Today, this has a little filter of just the tasks that are assigned to this day, the current day. And then I kind of sort them into columns based on their status. So each task can have a to-do, in progress, waiting, or done. And then I can click and drag them. Like, here's prepping for this podcast tonight. I already did that, but I could drag it from in progress to waiting to done. And so I can kind of keep track of where all my tasks for the day are at currently, whether I'm waiting for somebody, whether I'm I have something to do. I want to do a little more painting on my Delac figures tonight after the podcast. And then I have a little habit tracker here. I guess I can click through my habit list. It's real bad, so I'm a little embarrassed to share this. But so you can see my habit tracking from every day. So I have these kind of reoccurring things that I do. And so in this view, I only see the things that are assigned to today, and I don't have to worry about that big mess of everything I have to do and be freaked out about it every time I open my to-do list. I just see what past Fischer planned out for me today. And it kind of keeps my brain just on today's tasks. There's a couple challenges with it, certain tasks float over. I have a task about contacting one of our proofreaders, and it's still sitting and waiting because I've been waiting for a little bit, right? Or sometimes I'll assign a task that's just way too big for one day, and then I migrate it day to day instead of getting to check it off, and then a bunch of days will be empty because that day was just spent doing part of that task. So there are things that don't quite work, but anyway, this is my incredibly overcomplicated personal organization system.
Oh, I was going to ask about SNES games. I want to know about that.
Me too.
Oh yeah, I dusted off my old NES or SNES from my childhood, and it still works.
Nice.
And but a bunch of my games have gone missing. I think they are with my ex actually.
No.
And so I am trying to.
I've got it. I've got Uniracers if you want it.
Oh, I have played Uniracers actually. I don't know if I need it, but
It's one of my favorites.
So I've been trying to recollect my whole previous collection. There are most of them have been pretty easy to get, but there's a couple that I don't know if I'm ever going to get.
What are you missing?
Well, so the two that are really expensive are Mega Man Soccer. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's not a great game, but I have a lot of nostalgia for it. That thing's like $100 to $200, I think. And then there's this game called Metal Warriors.
Oh yeah,
it's a LucasArts game made right near the end of the SNES, right before the N64 came out. So there was very few printed, and it's this awesome side scroller where you can like get in these mechs. And like you can like, and you pilot them around. You play the side scroller, but you can like get out and there's this little guy, and you can run around and get in. You can like steal other people's mechs. So you can like, if they have a better mech than you, and you take them out, you can go steal their mech and like have the mech with their cooler powers. And it was awesome.
Like Master Blaster.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that. Yep.
Yeah, a little bit. But I loved that game, and that thing is like $600 to $700, I think, to get an authentic copy.
Wow.
Yeah.
So. If anybody has leads on vintage SNES games, let me know. Otherwise, I might just buy one of those bootleg versions for $20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Several years ago, I sprung for because I also have a SNES, but it's just kind of sitting in a box. But it still functions. But a few years ago, I sprung for a copy of Chrono Trigger.
Oh,
Ooh.
yeah.
That was pretty cool. I didn't finish it, but I played it a decent amount. It was pretty awesome. Yeah, that was expensive. I don't know how much it's worth now, but it was a lot of money.
That is one I saved. I still have my original copy of Chrono Trigger.
Nice.
I just sprung for Mega Man 5 recently because it's the rare cartridge of the 6 games released from the Nintendo, and it's quite expensive. And I always would look on eBay and be like, no, I'm not going to. And kept thinking about it, and I finally did. So
nice.
I had a little bit of buyer's remorse. After I hit the buy button, but it happened.
Yeah.
I never to think about it again.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
The nice thing about the Mega Man ones is you don't need to do any of the battery replacement stuff since they just use codes.
Oh,
right.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that was the other thing I ran into when I dusted everything off. Is all my batteries were dead.
Yeah.
So you need to go in and desolder them, and it's a whole pain.
Batteries in this console?
Yeah, for
in the cartridge.
Oh.
Yeah, in the actual. So that's how the saves are saved in the cartridge. Is there's a little watch battery soldered to the board that holds all the. You need a constant trickle of electricity to hold things in memory, and so it provides that trickle. And they like only have a shelf life of like 12 to 18 years or something like that. Anyway,
interesting.
Less time than has passed, and so you need to replace them.
Weird. All right. Well, thank you for your presentation, Fischer. That was informative.
Yeah, I'm sure riveting for so many people.
I thought it was great.
I'll be honest, it's the kind of thing that like my brain just turns off immediately when explaining it. I don't know. It's just it's hard for me. But I was going to say, it seems like once you start doing that kind of thing, I feel like it would be addicting. Like you want to put every detail of your life in there.
Yeah,
if it's not in the Notion, then it's not real or something.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And so like I try everything flows into the task backlog, and that's it. Once I actually got in the habit of the system, it's almost freeing because I don't have to. My brain doesn't have to constantly go, "Did I forget something? Did I forget something?" I can just trust that past Fischer put it in the backlog,
right? Yeah,
and therefore I can. When it comes to planning, I can prioritize it correctly. Yeah. And so it kind of almost takes this anxiety off of me of like worrying that I'm forgetting something. So I actually like find it reassuring. It's just, it took a while to like find the system that actually worked for me and I wouldn't forget about.
Right. It's an anxiety reducer. I can see for some it may be increasing anxiety. I don't know.
Yeah.
For me. Yeah.
Like I said, it's... Everybody's got to do it differently, right?
Yeah, I mean, it beats my Google Doc bullet point lists that I make and like constantly update. highlight and delete. So I might shift gears here and adopt that. Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. Or do like me and just choose occupations where you don't really need to remember much.
That'd be nice.
All right. We're a little behind schedule. We're going a little longer today. So we can do a little more abbreviated work stories. We're going to talk about what you guys have been working on. Let's change. Can we change up the order to give a new person?
I've just been talking. Go to somebody else.
Yeah, you need a break. We can start with Evan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, I don't have much to report. There was just some last minute, not last minute in the sense that it was rushed or anything, but last minute touches to graphic design elements on the cards that I just never had time to get to until after the art was done. So those have been made and their cards have been updated and they look cool and I'm super happy with them. And I've been helping with some of the translation stuff. Not as much as Fischer and Navarro. They I look at the translation channel on our Discord and I'm just blown away by all the questions you guys answer constantly. It's super impressive. And then once in a while there's something that I need to do, like a little graphical thing for the partners as they translate. And after beyond that, I've been just working on upcoming stuff like the Ranger Doubler packaging. So that not much to report, but it's all stuff that I'm super excited about working on and happy to do. And yeah,
Sweet.
that's about it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, that was nice. That was a nice. You took my command of making it abbreviated. Thank you, Evan. I can always count on you for that.
Absolutely.
How about you, Andrew?
Sure, I'll try to be brief. I'll do my best.
Well, you can do normal now that.
Okay, we're back on track.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've made some pretty good progress on my to-do list. Like I think I mentioned last podcast, I've like Fischer was saying, I took his system and adapted it more to me, which is just writing it down on a list with a piece of paper, which feels better to me. Like something about writing with a pen or a pencil, like it sinks into my brain a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's like a scientific fact.
Is it?
I don't know.
Science facts.
Sure. But I got through all of my, well, there's more things on it now, but at the time last week, I'd gotten through pretty much everything on my product to-do list. So that was pretty exciting. So we're getting the trail map done. I finally passed off that layout to Evan.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, which I was really glad that it took me so long to do because the original idea I had for it wasn't as good as where I eventually landed. So that was cool. So everyone who's gotten that Valley Trail map can look forward to some fun stuff there.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, we're inching toward the shore on manufacturing slowly. Everything is so slow. It's so slow. Aggravatingly so. I feel like I've been in this state for months, but we're getting close. We finally got the final quote from Ludo today, so that's cool. We're gonna try to negotiate some stuff with them on it. Came back pretty expensive. Like the price per unit went up by about 20%. Which isn't great. Luckily, the exchange rate's still really good right now, so it's not a huge problem. But I was pretty disappointed because we'd quoted it at a lower quantity before, and then we quoted it again at a higher quantity. And I thought that, and I knew that there might be some increase because our last quote was from March. So I figured there'd be some increase in costs, but I don't know if it's just the material or if it's also like the rising energy costs in Europe right now. I've heard that energy costs in Germany are up 20%, and our quote was 20% more expensive. I don't know if that's a coincidence or not, but I'm sure it's playing a role. So we're going to try to negotiate on that price a little bit, and try to bring it down just a little. But we're almost there. And then we're finishing up the website. Fischer took a look at the website that Corey and I have been working on for the past couple months. Gave us some good notes, so we're almost there. I think we may make the new site live by the time this podcast is posted. So I think that's the goal. Try to have it live this week. So
you heard it here, folks. New site's live right now.
Yeah, so it might be live. So it's
yeah.
You can go check it out, see if anything breaks. That'd be great. Let us know if you find something that breaks. We appreciate it. And then I don't think I talked about this on the podcast, but I'm learning more about value added tax in Europe this past month. So I tried to register for VAT. Learned I could not register for a VAT number because we're a North American, we're a United States company. So I need to register for VAT through an intermediary service, and I have a meeting tomorrow with one of these services to see if they can help us out and to learn more about everything we need to do to get registered so that we can pay taxes in Europe and participate in that whole system.
Wow.
Yeah, part of the one of the fun things about doing a Kickstarter is VAT. So, but man, it's crazy. Like I feel like every time these guys have heard me say this a million times, but it's like every time I learn about something about VAT and I feel like I have a handle on it, I learn something new that shows me that I didn't know anything. And this latest thing I learned, which was really how the whole system works, really made me feel like an idiot because it's like the foundational principles of VAT. And I don't know if like all the resources I've been reading like just didn't get into it, but it makes a lot more sense to me now. But it also like terrifies me because there's a lot of bookkeeping that needs to be done. Mm-hmm. So whoever we work with, I don't know if there's a price that's too high, but if I could just pay them to take care of it, then I will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the same for you, but for me, like before you and I had that day where we sat there looking up VAT resources together and like figuring out how it all worked. Before that, a lot of the things I had read about VAT kind of presented it like, let me simplify it for you and compare it to American sales tax so that, like you an American can understand it. But like, it really cuts out the whole, like how VAT value added tax applies to the whole supply chain. And like, the interesting thing about it is that it's applying at every step of the supply chain, whereas sales tax is very discrete. And so like I was just missing a huge part of the picture until we spent all that time reading about it.
Exactly. Like that's the thing that kind of opened my eyes. I was like, because I got I'm going to start paying, invoices to manufacturers, and then they included tax on the purchase. And I was like, wait, what? There's no, we're two businesses doing business. There's no tax because that's how it works in America. Because it's like whatever, and then we just tax the tax goes on the end when it goes to the customer. But in Europe, like Fischer was saying, you pay tax every step of the way, and then there's an equation for like how much tax you collect versus how much you pay, and then you subtract one from the other, and that's how much you owe the government. So
it's kind of like D&D modifiers, it come naturally.
It's very game-like. It seems like a lot of paperwork to me, but it must work for them. So anyway, that's all. That's what I have going on.
All right, the big old fat VAT.
That's right.
All right, back to you, Fischer.
All right. Well, like Evan said, we're wrapping up translation, getting all of our different languages sorted out. We're right near the end on that, and that means we're transitioning into proofreading. So getting some external people to kind of look it over, as well as looking it over ourselves. People who might have been snooping on my to-do list might have seen some stuff related to that. So I think, despite the fact that Contact Proofreader was sitting in the waiting on my to-do list, we now have all of our proofreaders sorted. And yes, yeah, it was good. One of our slots was we were having some challenges filling, but I think we have all our proofreaders, and so getting kind of those QA steps sorted out, and the kind of final review done. It's a weird step, like when you've been working on a project this long, like as you kind of slowly approach this finish line, it's because like at a certain point you kind of have to stop making big changes to the project, right? As like it gets finished up and it's just all the little like tweaks. And so there's a lot of like just kind of little fiddling and waiting for people as this thing finally, goes out the door. But it's exciting. I'm really excited to send it on its way to the printer. Other exciting news is I think we found the person who's going to be. I think I mentioned that Brooks won't be able to keep doing a lot of our development work, so we've been looking for somebody new, and I think we have found the person who will be doing that. I'll announce more about them at some point in the future once they actually get started, but I think we found the person for that, and they have a bunch of good experience, and I'm excited to work with them. So. And then a lot of my other stuff work-wise is a little spoilery, so I can't get into a ton of it. We have a bunch of expansion stuff working, not only the campaign expansion, but other materials for Rangers. And then we have a secret project going into testing in a week. And so that one I'm very excited about and excited to tell you all about sometime soon. And I'll use this time to give a little pitch for our testing. We do volunteer out external playtesting, and so if you'd like to get on the waiting list and potentially check out one of these super secret future projects, please reach out at our email and just tell us you're interested in playtesting. Maybe give us a little bit about your experience. Doesn't need to be a whole CV, just like a little bit of what you've done before. And if we're interested in working with you, we'll put you on the waiting list to hear about future playtest opportunities. So please reach out if you're interested. I can't promise anything, but I'd love to hear from you. So thanks.
Yeah, info@earthbornegames.com.
Yes.
That's exciting. Alrighty, cool. Is that well, I'm not going to ask anything about it. Sounds pretty secretive. We'll just move on. The stuff that we are into.
Yeah.
108. So I usually start this. So I'll say
you, Anders.
Sorry, I'm like trying to type something at the same time. Okay, I've been playing one of my favorite games ever, which is Shovel Knight, which is a very, very famous Kickstarter, which had just so many stretch goals that they just kept like giving you DLC, I think for years after the game came out, and it multiplied the game by like 10, like in how big it is. So there's like 4 different games basically, and I was just replaying the first one, which is Shovel Knight, Shovel of Hope, and it's just such a Shovel of Hope, I think it's called. Such a great game. It's just such a great, like, the level design, such a great throwback to NES platformers. It's got humor. It's got it all. Music is awesome. Chiptune stuff. Have you guys ever played Shovel Knight games?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I played the original one. I haven't played like all of their DLCs or like their kind of spin-off products, but I played through the original campaign that they released.
Hearing you say that makes me feel like I've talked about Shovel Knight already on this podcast. But
I think we have a little bit.
yeah, the DLC called King of Cards is incredible. Definitely play that one. It's the final DLC. It's like a whole new game, and has a whole card game built right into it. That's really fun too. So there's that, and
Evan,
then
sorry, Andres. Evan, did you shake your head that you haven't played Shovel Knight?
I haven't. I'm embarrassed, and I know, Anders, you've recommended to me among other great games, and I
think I've always recommended Hollow Knight to you.
Oh shoot, yeah, Hollow Knight.
But Shovel Knight you'd like too. It's highly inspired by Mega Man, I believe.
I'll get to it one of these days.
It's on sale right now on Switch.
Yeah, I was just going to say, based on our past conversation about NES games, Evan, I think you would really like Shovel Knight.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. It's one of these games that I didn't like it at first, but I kept trying to play it over the years, and then it hooked me.
You know why I'm kind of resistant to it is because I'm more interested in like a sword than a shovel, I guess. That's it.
But you use it like a sword, but you can also kind of like pogo on it and like jump and kill enemies below you and kind of bounce on them. That's really fun.
Like DuckTales.
Like DuckTales. That's where they're getting that inspiration from. And the reason I was playing is because there's a new game coming out in like 3 days, a new Shovel Knight game.
Oh.
And then I was playing this game called Grim Knight Heroes. It's a auto battler horde game that's kind of popular right now. Sort of like Vampire Survivors. Did you guys see that game when it was kind of big?
Yeah, I saw Vampire Survivors. I have not seen Grim Knight Heroes.
Nobody's heard of it, but it's a great vampire. It's a great Vampire Survivors clone for your phone. So I like that I can play it on my phone while I'm laying in bed or taking a big dump.
Big dump.
I only say that to call back to Evan's joke. All right, I would not just call it that. I would say using the restroom. But anyway, that's one of those games that's just kind of addicting and it's fun. It's at 99 cents. Give it a try if you want to pass the time while you're using the John. And then sorry. And then I just got Game Pass again because like every 2 months they'll say join again for $1. So I do it and then I have it for a month for $1. And I have one of these little like controllers that hooks onto your phone. You see that?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I've been trying the cloud gaming on there because I don't have any current gen consoles. And there's some games that I'd like to play. So I was trying to play Deathloop streaming on my phone with this.
Oh wow. How'd
did it work?
There was like no lag and it looked crystal clear. It was amazing. It must have been just my internet was especially good at that moment. The only thing I don't like is that like iPhone kind of has that notch there that kind of intrudes on the picture and it's got these rounded edges. But it's kind of sweet to be playing next gen kind of games on my phone in bed. I don't like
this. Super cool.
This control is cool, but like
listen to the
oh yeah,
listen to the buttons.
That's satisfying.
Oh wow, those are loud.
Well, but when you're playing a game, do you want to like click?
Yeah.
No, it's weird. I don't like that. That's the one.
It's like you're typing.
Yeah, I don't know. Everyone can hear you're playing games, like when you're supposed to be sleeping. So yeah. Deathloop just came out on Game Pass today, actually.
And the streaming is through Game Pass?
Yep, Game Pass Ultimate. You can stream to your phone.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So when you say streaming, you're utilizing a much more powerful machine.
I don't know how they do it
somewhere else, and it's there's like a
cloud
little bit of a
gaming,
delay, maybe.
Yeah, but I don't notice a delay at all.
It's like the thing they were trying to do with Stadia that didn't work.
Yeah, I think it's a really cool idea. I feel like that's probably what's going to happen with everything.
I tried Stadia and that was pretty laggy when I tried it. But this Game Pass is kind of incredible. You can tell the resolution's like not as good, but I don't know, it looked like it was like 60 frames per second, and I don't know, I'm excited to play it as I go to sleep tonight.
This stuff you're into brought to you by Game Pass.
I know, I just feel like an ad.
It's also brought to you by
I'm in no way affiliated.
Yeah, what's the
Notion?
Notion. Brought to you by Notion as well.
Yeah, that's true. I did my own advertising earlier.
This video contains ads. We'll have to put a disclaimer.
I wish they were paying us. That'd be great.
I know.
I'd take it.
Give them a call. We've got 1,000 listeners about.
Yeah.
Alrighty. That's all for me. Who wants to talk next? Evan.
Yeah. So it was a pretty big weekend. I was up north for a couple days, but had to get back to work while Megan's still up there with our daughter. But before we went up there, we went to a block party. Essentially, it was just thrown together by the neighbor. Within a week's time, he sent flyers out, and it was just an impulsive thing, and it was super cool because I don't remember the last time I've been to a block party.
Yeah,
and it wasn't even like over here, and I don't know if this is I guess it's a nationwide thing, but there's National Night Out, which is more of an official block party thing here in the States, but that didn't really happen, or I haven't really participated in that. But this is really cool because ever since COVID, I haven't really participated in things like this outside of with family. And it was a really cool opportunity to meet the neighbors that, for someone like me, I work from home, and the only time I go out is to walk my cat, which sounds insane. Because I'm the only person in the morning that has a cat on a leash. And then everyone else in the neighborhood sees me while they're walking their dogs, and they're just think I'm a weirdo. But then I get to meet those people.
Their cat, I do.
Yeah, but I meet them, and then they realize that I'm not as crazy as they maybe thought I was. So
cat guy.
Yeah, and there's
hang on. I want to stay on the walking the cat for a second here, Evan. Do you does your cat actually go down the sidewalk, or are you just kind of meandering?
It's more of a meander. He just leads me around. And actually, before I got home today from up north, I stopped at Chuck and Don's, and I got a second harness for our other cat, because when I take one of them out, the other one cries in the window. And so I took both of them out when I got home today.
Wow.
And then I realized after I had them both out, I didn't know how to get them back in, because they don't lead me back in. I just kind of go where they go.
Yeah.
Anyways.
You just drag them? No.
I just
pick them up
in like a bundle.
Got two cat under each arm, and you're
yeah.
But
this block party thing was neat because, got to chill and chat with people that I just see occasionally and do like an up nod or whatever too.
Oh yeah.
And there's some music being played, and that was fun. And so it was cool. Felt like I really valued that as someone who didn't do a whole lot this summer. So,
yeah, real life.
Yeah.
Nice.
I forgot what else was going on. I made note of it.
D&D?
Oh yeah, that's right. My brother texted me the other day, and my niece is really interested in playing D&D, and he was wondering if I would be willing to be like the GM or DM or whatever you call it, and introduce her to it. Neither my brother nor my niece have played before, and I've always pitched the idea, but I've also never considered myself a DM, so I'm kind of nervous about it. But I got through the nervousness, and the excitement of it kind of superseded, and I have all these cool ideas. I think what I want to do is take him through one of I think there's 2 beginner boxes for.
I think there's 3
edition.
now.
Oh, 3?
I think they released a new one pretty recently.
Okay, so I was going to choose one of those. And then I have I've played enough tabletop RPGs where I feel confident maybe peppering in some little fun side quests, because I feel like my niece, who's 10 years old, might just be more drawn to go out into the woods and collect these things, collect butterflies. And maybe it'd be a good way to introduce checks dexterity and stuff like that. Or
Yeah.
So I just this whole weekend we've been up north. I've been thinking about different scenarios and different narratives to pitch and see how it goes. But also I've learned that I shouldn't count on any of those things because it's really up to the players what they want to do.
I was gonna say I got the essentials kit for when I DM'd for Sam and Sebastian and their friends, and that did help. It created a nice little foundation. I didn't have to draw any maps. That was nice.
Cool.
I could just like lean on it. But then they really wanted to just do something not at all.
Yeah.
That was nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing was present in that essentials kit that they wanted to do. Really, ultimately.
Yeah, I feel like my brother might want to play more of what's it called? Not railroaded. On rails. An on rails experience.
Well, with another adult there, that'll help.
Yeah.
No.
Are you sure you don't want to go into this cave that DM's been telling you about?
No, let your niece guide everything. That's my vote. Just like improvise, channel your Zach Table Thomas, the GM of that epic game you brought up the other episode, and just go, let your niece drag it off the rails. That's
I'm gonna do my best, and it'll be fun regardless. So I'm super looking forward to it. Hopefully in August we'll roll up characters and try something. So
nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Andrew Navarro, is that wait, who's
I
that?
can go.
Wait, there's two left. I keep forgetting Fischer these days. Okay, please, one of you talk.
I'll start. We'll close it with Fischer.
All right.
Okay, great.
I've been watching a lot of football. It's football season.
Yes.
So as per usual, or at least these last couple of years when I've been at home a lot, I'm just watching all the football. So
you're gonna get up at 8:30 a.m. next Sunday. Is it next Sunday?
Oh, for like the Europe game?
Yeah,
probably.
Nice.
I'm up at that time anyway. I usually watch those games kind of like on the side. Though the Packers I think are playing in Germany this year. I think they're playing in Germany this year at some point. So I'll get up for that one.
Why do they do this?
Advertising
To get Europeans into it? The NFL?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
all right.
They must do well for them. I mean, they keep having games over there. I think they have more games in England now, and then they're doing this game they do a game in Mexico, and then this will be the first time there'll be a game in Germany, which is cool.
Wow.
So anyway, watching football, enjoying that. My Packers are 1-1, so they did horribly the first week, like I expected, and then turn it around against the Bears on Sunday night. So that was nice.
Yeah, who did they do poorly against?
The Vikings. Yeah, but the Vikings just got stomped last night, so I don't know. You can't really talk too much shit.
No. I mean, I don't think any Vikings fan can talk too much shit. They have not been great.
Yeah, they looked bad last night. They looked really good against the Packers, and they looked terrible last night. I've also I started and finished Shadow of Mordor in the last 2 weeks. I'm not sure if you guys have played Shadow of Mordor. It's Lord of the Rings kind of Batman-alike, the Batman Arkham Asylum combat system, but it also has this cool nemesis system where there's these kind of procedurally generated orc minions that you fight and then continue to encounter throughout the course of the game, and they'll be scarred or burned, or they'll be, have like a big metal plate on their head where you stabbed them last time. That game's pretty fun. I played it when it came out. It was on sale for $5, the Game of the Year edition. So I was like, yeah, it's kind of in a Lord of the Rings mood. So I played that, and that was really fun. That was really fun.
$10 on Steam.
Yeah, you chop off a lot of orc heads in that game. Let me just say.
The way you described you and Fisher talked about it last Thursday, I'm intrigued. I'll probably pick it up.
It's
$10.
totally worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, the Nemesis system is so cool, and the way it creates kind of this emergent relationship with a lot of the like characterized bad guys in the game that feels kind of unique to you, and then the way they use some of the later systems of the game to interact with that. It's so cool, and I'm just so surprised that more games haven't ripped it off wholesale.
Yeah, or
Like-
just do more game, like have more, because they're Monolith is owned by Warner Brothers, and I'm kind of shocked that they didn't take that technology and just apply it to something else.
Yeah, it's so good. I just am kind of surprised we haven't seen more people riff off of it.
Yeah, that's probably a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
It seems very cool. I feel like that's where they put the money in that game. It's a very relatively bare bones. Apart from that, relatively bare bones traditional open world character action game, but a lot of fun. And it has Andy Serkis as Gollum in it, which is fun to see.
Hey. We got a lot
And
of
then I
pictures.
downloaded the Mass Effect Legendary Edition because that was also on sale.
Oh, cool.
And I played a little Mass Effect this Sunday morning. Well, so I've played a lot of Mass Effect. It's one of my favorite games of all time. The first one in particular, and it's pretty cool playing the new one because it's kind of upgraded graphics and they really improved the controls. So the controls of the original Mass Effect are a little squirrely, but this one plays a little bit more like a more modern game. But that's fantastic. Have you played Mass Effect, Anders?
No, but it's on Game Pass. And the Legendary Edition is also on there. I've wanted to. Maybe I'll play it on my phone.
Sure. Yeah. It's it's a great game. I think the only thing I don't like about it is that the film grain effect does not come through as well with the up-res graphics as it did on the original.
Oh, the original had kind of a film.
Yeah, it has
cinematic look
a
to it.
film grain and a vignette, so it has this real kind of old school sci-fi vibe to it,
Oh, interesting. That's cool.
and it just
Yes.
doesn't look quite
Yes,
the same.
it's been on
Phil-
my backlog. Yeah. Go on.
You would have to turn off the film grain for streaming though.
Probably.
Oh yeah.
There's film grain. Static does not get along with digital video streaming at all.
Just kind of
Oh,
blur
really?
into a
Yeah,
It
it-
looks like
plasma.
a mess.
It's more like the film grain in Mass Effect 3 when I think they switched engines. I think they went to the Frostbite engine, if I'm correct, if my memory serves. And it just they had film grain, but it just didn't look the same, and it's kind of like that. Yeah, and then I'm looking forward to Andor, which
Yeah.
for us is tomorrow will debut. So I'm desperately hoping for a good Star Wars show, just a good show. Give me a good show. I've been very disappointed by shows lately, so
Mhm.
I'm
I've heard
pinning
good
probably too
things.
many hopes
Yeah.
on it. But it's got a phenomenal cast. It looks more grounded with more natural environments than like Obi-Wan Kenobi, which is like probably my biggest beef with Kenobi is so much of it was, what do they call it? The place where they film it?
The volume.
The volume. Yeah, it's too much of it was filmed in the volume where it's just these big screens around you. And like, I don't know, it felt very artificial.
Uh-huh.
So
I was
Andor
super
looks like
impressed
it's
with-
actually like on site.
Yeah. I was really impressed with what the volume was capable of, though.
It's neat, and I think it's cool to use when you need to use it. But doing a whole show there, it just
yeah.
you got to at least put more effort into building a physical set that people
Is
can
that
interact with.
Is that like a way to shoot a show, or is that an actual set in the show?
No, you should
it's-
look it up. It's pretty phenomenal. It's
Yeah.
like this big studio.
Okay,
That
it's a
has
studio where they
like
make the show.
It's like a 360 screen. I think
It's like a donut. You're inside of a cylinder.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they
It's
do
like
all the
green
filming inside
screen?
a giant LED screen.
It is
Oh,
it
it's
is
not
a
green screen?
alternative to
No.
green screen that
Oh,
is
interesting.
superior because it actually emits light. It's a projector and it's projecting a scene around the actors. so that there's no the actors look very integrated into the surroundings because, well, in the case of Mandalorian, he's wearing this chrome armor and it's reflecting the environment because the environment's live.
Mandalorian
and the camera
there too.
What's
yeah,
that?
Mandalorian was shot with a lot of, but also Mandalorian though I think is how it's been used well. Like I feel like Obi-Wan overused it. I feel like Thor: Love and Thunder looked like ass, and I feel like so like I think it is maybe a superior way of filming. It's much faster for the pipeline, obviously, because you don't have to like keep things out and do a lot of that work to integrate it. But you still have to do some work, otherwise it's just going to look like shit.
Honestly, some of the best implementations of it was when they were going into hyperspace inside the ship, and the ship was a set piece inside of the surrounding volume apparatus.
Yeah.
That was a good way to utilize it.
Cool. That makes me want to watch those shows now just for that.
Yeah, it's neat.
All right,
I think
let's
go. Sorry.
Go ahead, Evan.
I was just gonna say once Andor is over, the next Star Wars show I'm looking forward to is what's her name? The
Ahsoka.
Ahsoka, yes, thank you. Yeah, I loved Ahsoka's portrayal in Mandalorian and stuff.
Yeah, I think if we get more Darth Vader, that'd be cool. It's mostly what I've been looking forward to Ahsoka for. Either Darth Vader or maybe Darth Maul.
Yeah,
that'd be great. That'd be cool.
Darth Vader or Darth Maul.
Yeah, put them both in there.
All right, Fischer.
Yeah, well,
forget you.
To this, I appreciate it. I half expected you to just go to the end as a bit, but
dang it, I'm tired.
To our conversation, I have been watching a lot of TV as well. Like Sam and I try to keep up with all the kind of like quote unquote big IP TV, like Marvel, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Yeah. Like I feel like after working at Fantasy Flight for so many years and we had a lot of these big IPs, I kind of feel this like obligation to keep up with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not just an obligation. I enjoy it. And I almost enjoy keeping up with these large multimedia companies and seeing what they do with their settings. And so I actually kind of enjoy watching it regardless, even if I wouldn't consider myself like a fan per se. So I'll be watching Andor. We're watching Game of Thrones right now. We're trying to keep up with the Marvel shows. So we're watching She-Hulk, and we've only watched one episode of Rings of Power, but we'll probably catch up with it at some point. Like we try to we'll watch an episode with dinner each night after work, right? And so it's just when does things get in the rotation? There's enough things in the rotation right now that Rings of Power just hasn't come back into rotation. But there's just so much right now. It's kind of the fact that we'll usually get in 4 nights a week, of our weekdays, because one night we'll be doing something and not be eating dinner together. But so if we watch 4 episodes of television a week and can't keep up, that's a lot of big IP television coming out. That's a lot of content.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you're watching the right one though, to watch Thrones.
Yeah, I think
I watched She-Hulk. I didn't like it very much. I watched the first episode. Same thing with Rings of Power. I watched both of those, but wasn't into them.
Yeah, Rings of Power, we watched one so far, and it wasn't really resonating with me. Thrones has been very enjoyable, though. Matt Smith is just he's hamming it up in every scene he's in, and he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's great.
You really hate him at first, but he gets a little more nuance as it goes on. And
well, I'm sure they'll make you hate him again. I know Game of Thrones.
I still hate him quite a bit, but at first you just want to wipe that smarmy smirk off his face for 1 second. Anyway, the other slightly more less mainstream thing I've been doing is playing this game Immortality. This game is interesting because it's an FMV game, full motion video, so it's like actually acted, which I know is usually associated with really real hokiness, but it's very kind of artfully done. It's by the same person who made the game Her Story. I only heard this in passing. I guess I haven't confirmed this, so I hope I'm not lying to you, but it feels like it has the same vibes. I'd actually recommend if talking about this game interests you, I'd recommend you go check out Her Story. It's short. I think it's on Game Pass. I think you can play it on Game Pass. And in that one, you're kind of set in front of this like 1995's era operating system, and you have to search through this database of footage of the interrogation of this woman and figure out what actually went on by watching all this interrogation video. But the database is so archaic, you can only search by these little clips, and so they actually, through the restrictions of this database, create this really cool branching narrative system that very neat. Did I talk about this in another episode? Okay. No. I was talking about it with somebody. Anyway, so
yeah, you told me about it on Thursday.
Oh, okay. So anyway, I'd really like if this at all sounds interesting to you, well executed and integrated full motion video games, check out Her Story. It's a few years old. It only takes a couple hours to play. Immortality is a little different. You're searching through like the records of this woman who made 3 different movies that never came out because there were like murders associated with each one, and you're kind of trying to figure out what's going on, and it gets really supernatural and weird. Sam and I have been playing it on the TV and like kind of going through it together. It's a lot weirder than Her Story, and also I definitely have to put, considering anything I bring up as a slight recommendation, a slight content warning that there's a lot of sex and nudity in it. So it's a bit different than Her Story, and I don't have a final verdict yet, but I think it's kind of this evolution of full motion video games it's a very cool space and doesn't feel quite like anything else. So
is it coming back in popularity? Because I remember FMVs were really cool in the 90s, but then they got,
it's never really gone away, Evan. You
Really?
just got to look in the right places. Yeah.
Did you guys ever play Red Alert?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was just going to say Red Alert
with like Tim Curry's.
Yeah, man.
I am going to escape to the only place not tainted by capitalism, space.
Or like Wing Commander.
Yeah, Mark Hamill.
Yeah. Some good ones.
Anyway, so I'm checking out that game right now. Maybe I'll have finished it up by the next time we talk. Go ahead.
I was going to say that game sounds like a Netflix show called Archive 81. I don't know if it's a series, but it's about a guy who is hired to restore found video from a camcorder that was these videotapes that were damaged in a building fire, and he's being paid to figure out what happened in this fire, and it turns really supernatural and cool, and you learn about the character who was filming with the camcorder, and it kind of cuts to that time period as the show progresses. And it's, if you're into that sort of supernatural haunted analog stuff, you might be into it.
Cool.
Yeah, that sounds really similar. I hadn't heard of this show.
Yeah, Archive 81.
Cool.
I didn't hear about it either, but Zach recommended it. So I think it was awesome.
Yeah, I might have to check this out. Just on Netflix.
Yep.
Cool. Because I need more shows to watch.
Yeah,
clearly.
Exactly.
Anyway, so yep, that's mostly what I've been up to. The one other thing I wanted to note is that I've been playing around with like recording some of my design process. We've been working on obviously we've been working on Rangers and like working on new games and stuff. And so I've been kind of playing around with like, working at home by yourself is like very isolating. And like, so I think part of this is in an effort to like, I don't know, give this kind of outlet that might have gone to coworkers or something else. Back when I was at an office, obviously, we are coworkers, but we mostly communicate via Discord and only see each other a few times a week. So I've been kind of trying to do this like recording and editing together little videos, and so it's something I'm going to be trying to do. If that's it all sounds interesting to you, please let me know, and I might share a couple of them. It's going to be kind of hard to do to like juggle not spoiling anything while talking about process. So we'll see if I can actually manage it, but it's kind of an experiment right now. So if that would interest you, let me know, and maybe I'll share something in the next few weeks.
Let's just make a command decision and do it, and we can just put it on the channel.
Oh yeah, we can put it on the channel. That's intimidating. If I just put it on like my own channel, like in my one subscriber, then nobody has to see it.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone would be interested in that. I am. So that's all that matters.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, cool. But that's it. That's it for me.
All right, everybody, we did it. That brings us to the end of the show. Thanks everybody for listening week after week. We appreciate you, and the game is coming soon, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Reach out to us in the meantime. info@earthbornegames.com. Ask us questions. I don't know what I was going to say. Bye.
Bye.
See you.